Welcome to Law Enforcement Coaching. Meet the Coach with founder Tammy Sharp. Today we are speaking with one of our master coaches, Greg Nottingham. Get to know a little about Greg and see if he may be the right coach for you.
Hi, Greg. Thank you for being on the call today. This video is for anybody that is kind of coming onto the website, not really sure who to book for a coach, and if they're looking at your profile, this is just a little insight so they know who you are. So with that, I'll just have you kind of talk about yourself and give us a little bit of your background and your experience in law enforcement.
Thank you, Tammy. I'm glad to be here. My name is Greg Nottingham. You'll find me on the coaching website. And I was a deputy sheriff for the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office for 31 years. I retired at the rank of sergeant, and I have worked in a lot of different areas with the Sheriff's Office from we have a Lake Patrol Division and a motors unit and regular patrol, and I spent some time in the criminal court services. So I've worked graveyard shift, I worked day shift, I've worked swing shift, I've worked mandatory overtimes, I've worked 12 and 16-hour shifts, and then had to be ready for court the next morning. And so I've been there and I've seen it, and I've done it. So I'm here to help if there's anything you need help with.
And then you also retired, and so you can also coach and help not only with what it looks like on the other side of retirement, but that retirement prep leading up to it. What are some things that you wish you would have known before you retired?
I wished I would have known to prepare for retirement when I first started as a baby cop. When I first started, no one talked about retirement. Retirement was 20 plus years down the road. You're going to get your retirement, so you'll have your pension, but nobody talked about retirement. They didn't talk about financial savings. They didn't talk about ending your career. It was never talked about. And I wish that someone would have come to me and said, when you retire, you're going to need to be prepared financially, mentally, and you're going to need to be able to make that transition at the end. And if I would have been coached early on, there are so many different avenues that you can put your money into, invest in, and prepare yourself financially for the end, because that, when you hit your 20 or 25 or 30 years and you decide to finally retire, that pension isn't always going to be enough. And unless you're planning on continuing to work somewhere else, it gets a little hard just living on that pension at the end of your career. So I think a big one for me is financially start saving, be prepared financially for when you do retire. And you never know when retirement's going to happen. You could get injured on the job and you could retire from law enforcement at 15 years. You could stay 20, you could decide to do 30 like I did. You never know when that's going to happen. And so be prepared for when it happens, and you have to start now. And if a career in law enforcement is something that you're born to, something that you do because it's the right job to do, and when that day comes and you pull the plug and you say, I'm done, this is my last day, and you walk out of that building, it's over and you're not a cop anymore. And sometimes that's hard to take. And I've seen, myself included, I've seen officers really struggle with that transition. Who am I now? I've been a cop for 30 years. That's been my identity. Who am I now? And you have to redefine yourself and be prepared for that.
And you have some hobbies outside of law enforcement that helped kind of move you forward through that retirement. So what are the hobbies and things that you're passionate about that you're doing now?
I do. I have hobbies. I mean, I'm passionate. Family first always. And I'm very, very a family guy now, and I love that part of it. But my hobbies are my motorcycle. I have a Harley Davidson, and my wife and I ride all over the country. We've been to Sturgis a couple of times, not to the rally. That's a little extreme for me, but we have been to Sturgis a couple of times, and we ride from Arizona to South Dakota and back, so I'll go out on day rides. I'll go out on overnight rides and just that is my happy place. That is my freedom. That is, wind in my hair, so to speak. That's where I'm really happy, with my wife on the back, and we just ride, and I can, we can talk, we can think, we can listen to music, and that's a really important thing to me, is just getting away and having our time. And then I also do ham radio, amateur radio, as a hobby, and I do quite a bit of amateur radio. I'm on the radio probably every day, and kind of keeps me in touch with, the radio aspect of police work, and I help a lot of other people get licensed, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, and then speaking, you mentioned your wife. So you have been married for a long time. So how many years?
34 years.
34 years. And she also works in law enforcement. So that's a different dynamic. So you can kind of help coach on some of those, the ups and downs and the pitfalls and things to be aware of for the law enforcement in a relationship with law enforcement as well.
Yes, and those, there are some pitfalls, and you have to be careful not to step into them, and you have to be careful. I was a typical baby cop, and was already married when I started in law enforcement, and it changes you, and if you're not careful, it's going to change your relationship with your wife, and eventually it's gonna go one way or the other. And if you're not ready for it, if she's not ready for it, if she doesn't realize that it's going to change you as an officer, then you're gonna end up in the stigma of being, married and divorced, which I am, and married and divorced, and got lucky enough when I met my second wife, and this one's lasted for 34 years. So I think we have found the answer, and that's something that I really like to help with.
Awesome. So as we wrap up, if there was just a piece of guidance or advice that you could give to anyone that's coming on, whether they book you as a coach or not, if there was something that this was the one time that you had to like share some knowledge or wisdom, what would that guidance be?
Family first. Family first always. Your family's got to be the most important thing in your life, and other than that, Tammy, it's got to be this program. When I started in law enforcement, you just kind of tried to find a mentor, somebody to kind of, guide you through as you go through your career. Well, the problem with that is they're not trained to be mentors, and you end up mimicking somebody else's career and not your own, and you don't take your own career path. And had I had somebody to coach me back then, somebody to help me to take a broader view of what my job is, what my career path is, what opportunities I have available, I had a good career. I had a really good career. I would have had a great career had I had somebody just kind of guide me just a little bit, just a little course correction every now and again, to make me open my eyes, because you get so tunnel visioned, and you get so focused on your job and what you're doing, that you don't realize there's a whole nother world out there within your department, and there are so many other things you could be doing. And in the end, I wish that I would have done so many other things in my career and not stayed in one specific area. So my advice would be, keep your family close, and look at this program a little bit harder. Take some time and look at it, and find yourself a coach that can help, that's been there, that's done that has lived the life you're living now, who can help kind of direct you in a better direction, or encourage you to reach out and accomplish some of your goals, and to be with you and work with you on your goals.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Greg, for being on the call. And for anybody that's wanting to book a session, you can just scroll down a little bit on the website, find the booking calendar, book your session with Greg. And thank you all for being here. And thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Ken.